Part 46. God Level Tip, report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tien Tien Taido. Chapter 454. Count Khan. The waiter couldn't help but be shocked when he saw the two beautiful men coming out of this building. The man in front of him is the youngest Earl of the Kingdom of Budian, and the most distinguished guest of their noble hotel. Count Khan, what did you say? Is this black card yours? The waiter asked directly to Count Khan again. That's right, I was talking about why my American Express Centurion Infinite Supreme black card disappeared. It has never been found. It turns out that it was stolen. Count Khan said again with great pride, as if he had determined that Li Hao was the thief. As Count Khan finished speaking, the waiter's expression changed again. Next to them, there was a strange look in the hearts of the nobles, and an uproar suddenly sounded from the mouths of these people. What? This black card actually belongs to Count Khan. How is this possible? Did that guy steal this black card? The other party is the leader of the holy religion of light? Isn't it strange to have a black card? I understand. This Khan is a black card collecting fanatic. He must have said this deliberately because he wanted to get this black card. Doesn't this guy know that this guy in front of him is a powerful man at the level of a holy lord? Even Queen Elizabeth and the Duke of York don't take him seriously. Khan is clearly looking for death. When the nobles around saw this scene, they immediately let out extremely surprised sounds. Some people knew this Count Khan and knew that this Khan was an arrogant and selfish guy. Even if they saw this Count Khan's intention was nothing more than to use his identity as a count to overpower others and take possession of the American Express Centurion Infinite Supreme black card as his own. Li Hao looked at the guy in front of him and frowned slightly, but there was a sharp light in his eyes. Linda next to her, her eyes were about to burst into flames at this moment. How is it possible? You are talking nonsense, this black card belongs to Li Hao. How can it be yours? Linda immediately became angry, looked at Count Khan in front of her, and said sternly. She had heard of Count Khan, but was not familiar with him. Linda was often abroad, and there were so many nobles in the country, so she had never seen Count Khan before her. Presumably, the guy in front of him must not know her. If he knew that she was a princess, he would never dare to do this. You said this black card belongs to you. Li Hao also said lightly, looking very calm, but there was a hint of coldness in his eyes. Count Khan's heart froze slightly when he saw Li Hao's eyes, but he still said in a deep voice. Yes, this black card is clearly mine. Where did you pick it up? Why don't you return it to me quickly? Yours? Haha, do you have any evidence? When Li Hao heard what the other party said, he sneered again and said lightly. Then you said this card is yours, do you have any evidence? Evidence? What more evidence do you need? Just because I am Count Khan. Can you own this Amex Centurion Unlimited Supreme black card? Count Khan said proudly to Li Hao again, then looked at the nobles around him and asked those people again. Do you think this guy is qualified to have American Express Centurion Unlimited Supreme black card? The nobles around were stunned, but did not answer immediately. There was a strange look in the eyes of these people when they looked at Count Khan. He. Hearing Khan's words, Li Hao couldn't help but laugh again, with a touch of disdain in his smile. Across the way, Khan frowned when he saw the scene and asked coldly. Why are you laughing? Li Hao looked at the guy in front of him as if he were a clown. He didn't answer and looked at the noble people around him. Do you think I am qualified to own this Amex Centurion Unlimited Supreme black card? Li Hao asked calmly to the people around him, his expression was half smiling, but there was a coldness in his voice. When Li Hao's words fell, a chill seemed to spread in all directions with Li Hao's voice, making the nobles around him feel a chill. Their bodies began to shiver involuntarily, and their bodies became even more, there was an invisible sense of oppression coming to their bodies. They felt as if their legs were so weak that they were out of control. They looked at each other as if they were being watched by a god. The expressions of these nobles changed instantly, and they even thought of the scene that happened in the royal castle before. You are qualified. Of course you are qualified. Besides you, who else in the world is qualified to own this Amex Centurion Infinite Supreme Black Card? Yes, yes. You are the most qualified. This Amex Centurion Infinite Supreme Black Card is yours. These noble people said one after another. When Khan heard what these people said and saw this scene, he couldn't help but open his mouth wide and couldn't believe the scene in front of him. Khan opened his mouth and wanted to say, why is this? Don't these people know him? However, before Khan could speak, these nobles all looked at Khan coldly and said to him coldly, Count Khan, if you want to die, don't take us with you. He's just an earl. Do you know who he is? If you want to frame someone, you should choose the right person. Clown. What a clown. As these people spoke, Khan's face suddenly became extremely ugly, and his face flushed. What do you mean? Who are you? Khan looked at the fierce look of the nobles and looked at him with stupid eyes. Khan finally realized that something was wrong. His heart suddenly skipped a beat. He immediately looked at the young man in front of him and asked in a deep voice. Li Hao still didn't speak. The people around him had already answered for Li Hao. He is the leader of the Holy Church of Light. A powerful saint. He just brought Princess Linda out of the royal castle. Even the Queen and the Duke of York couldn't do anything to him. Count Khan, you are not looking for death. When these people's words fell into Khan's ears, Khan's face changed instantly, and his heart was hit hard. He had just brought Princess Linda out of the royal castle, and even the Queen and the Duke of York had no way to deal with him. Khan's ears echoed with these words, and his face turned pale instantly. A powerful saint lord. Khan muttered, looking at the young man in front of him in disbelief, and cold sweat instantly broke out on his forehead. God level tip, report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tian Tian Taido. Chapter 455. The leader of the Holy Religion of Light, a powerful person at the Holy Lord level. The young man in front of him has such a great background. He is mainly a Holy Lord level powerhouse. How is this possible? Khan looked at the young man in front of him in disbelief, his heart was filled with turmoil, and cold sweat broke out on his forehead. Even though he was a saint, he felt that his legs were weakening at this moment. And the woman in front of me is Princess Linda? No wonder he saw that this woman had a good temperament, and she turned out to be the princess of the kingdom of Baidian. By the way, today is the engagement ceremony between the princess and Viscount Walker, the son of the Duke of York. How could Princess Linda appear in this aristocratic hotel with a strange Chinese boy? It turned out that she was taken away from the engagement ceremony by this young man. Damn it, isn't this a slap in the face? Khan just felt that he was so unlucky. No, he is just a fool. How can he be an ordinary person who can own this Amex Centurion Unlimited Supreme Black Card? He doesn't even have it, but the other party actually has an American Centurion Unlimited Supreme Black Card. Isn't this just, does it mean that the other party's identity is extraordinary? And he was still stunned and bumping his head against the opponent's side. Isn't this stupid? Khan looked at the stupid looks of the people around him, and then saw the cold eyes of the young man in front of him. Khan fell to the bottom in an instant. Earl? Are you awesome? Li Hao said lightly again, looking at the guy in front of him with a half smile. Bang! But at this moment, a clear voice suddenly sounded. Count Khan actually knelt down directly towards Li Hao, making a crisp sound with his knees on the ground. I was wrong. I was wrong. Boss, please, please spare me. Khan knelt directly in front of Li Hao and begged Li Hao. Just bow down and bow without any hesitation. The powerful Holy Lord didn't crush him with just one hand. In the eyes of the other party, he was like an ant. "Boss, please spare me. I never dare to do it again." Khan kept begging Li Hao for mercy. When those people around looked at this scene, their eyes widened and they were dumbfounded. Khan's reaction was not unpleasant, it came straight from his heart. As for the waiter at the noble hotel next to him, the beautiful customer service person, and even the two beauties whom Khan just hugged, they were even more stunned when they saw the scene in front of them. "If I had known this, why bother just now?" Li Hao looked at Khan and said lightly. Bang! As Li Hao's words fell, Li Hao waved his hand directly, and suddenly a dull voice sounded in the space. Everyone seemed to have seen Khan, and his body was directly hit hard, and they rushed toward him. "Go behind." Poof! Khan's body was directly blown away, and he vomited blood. He finally landed at the door of the hotel. His disheveled clothes were stained with blood, and he looked extremely embarrassed. "You actually crippled me. You are so cruel." Khan felt that his body had been severely damaged, especially that his cultivation was completely destroyed by the other party, and he immediately said to Li Hao with red eyes, "Ah!" As soon as he finished speaking, Khan screamed again, and a large mouthful of blood spurted out, and then he fainted. Li Hao directly destroyed Khan's cultivation, but his face remained indifferent, and his expression did not change much, as if he had just crushed an ant with his hand. Li Hao really didn't take this Khan seriously. After destroying him, Li Hao stopped paying attention to him. Instead, he looked at the dumbfounded waiter in front of him and asked, "Now, is there any problem? Can we go up?" "Okay, okay. Please come with me." When the waiter heard Li Hao's words, he immediately came back to his senses and said quickly, with an extremely respectful look on his face. As a result, the waiter immediately led the two of them to the presidential suite. Li Hao and Linda followed directly. It wasn't until Li Hao and Linda disappeared from everyone's sight that the nobles around them felt a sense of relief. Call. Finally got in. As expected of a boss who even the Duke of York and the others don't take seriously. I didn't expect that he would come to check out a room with Princess Linda. Then Khan is really stupid. Now it's better, his cultivation has been ruined. I really don't know how to live or die. I'm looking for everyone, but I have to look for this guy. Isn't this just hitting the muzzle of the gun? Some people gasped, shocked by the two Li Hao in front of them, while others sighed, thinking that Count Khan was like an idiot. Li Hao and Linda followed the waiter to the entrance of the presidential suite on the top floor of the noble hotel. The door opened, and an extremely luxuriously decorated presidential suite appeared in front of the two of them. Separate living room, kitchen and dining room, gym, swimming pool, bar, private garden, etc., and even steam room, sauna room, massage room are all available. It's like an independent luxury villa. And through a huge floor-to-ceiling window, you can see a prosperous and beautiful scenery. Li Hao and Linda walked directly into the room, and then the suite door was closed directly by an invisible force. The next moment, Li Hao hugged Linda directly. "Ah! Boss, don't!" Linda screamed, and her whole body was shy. Her pretty face instantly blushed, and she called the boss again. "Didn't I say it? Don't call me boss. Why are you still calling me boss? You are really disobedient, you deserve to be punished." Li Hao said with a bright smile on his face. Li Hao said nothing, and walked directly into the room with Linda in his arms. Linda was in Li Hao's arms, and her whole body was shy to the extreme, and her heart was beating wildly. The next moment, Linda was put on the bed by Li Hao. "Don't. Husband." Linda said to Li Hao again, and she suddenly remembered the last time. At this moment, she was a little excited, but also a little scared. "Ha ha. This is not up to you. Li Hao laughed again, and said directly to Linda, and then he rushed towards Linda. In an instant, Linda felt a masculine breath coming to her face. Woo! Linda was speechless and could only close her eyes. Doing what you like with the person you like is happiness. For a moment, the presidential suite was filled with charming sounds. Just like that, I don't know how long it lasted, the sky gradually darkened, and the noise in the room gradually subsided. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. God level tip, report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tien Tien Taido. Chapter 456. Li Hao and Linda stayed at the Noble Hotel for one night. The next day, the two went directly to the airport and boarded a plane to Dewa. Jiangbei, courtyard number 1. Li Hao took Linda back to his villa. Chu King Ai and Mo Bai were playing games on the TV. They didn't know who taught them, but Ye Hongxiu didn't know where he was. Hey, Li Hao, come back and pull me. Seeing Li Hao walking in from the door of the villa, Chu King Ai and Mo Bai looked at Li Hao indifferently. When they saw a woman following Li Hao, their eyebrows suddenly wrinkled again. Li Hao, who is she? Chu King Ai asked Li Hao again. Linda, from today on, she will also live in our villa. Li Hao said lightly. When Chu King Ai and Mo Bai heard Li Hao's words, they felt strange in their hearts, but they didn't say anything. The villa belonged to Li Hao, and Li Hao was the owner. And with so many empty rooms, naturally everything belonged to Li Hao. Hao has the final say. Soon, Linda found an empty room and put her things in it. Until the evening, the sky was already dark, but Li Hao did not see Ye Xiun come back. Li Hao couldn't help but have a doubt in his heart. Where did Ye Xiun go? Why haven't you come back yet? Li Hao took out his mobile phone and sent a message to Ye Xiun, but strangely, Ye Xiun didn't reply to Li Hao for a long time, so Li Hao directly dialed Ye Xiun's phone number. The phone you said you dialed has been turned off. Inside the phone, a notification tone suddenly rang, and Ye Xiun's phone was turned off. Li Hao suddenly frowned. What's going on? Why is Ye Xiun still turning off her phone? Li Hao came directly to Chu King Ai and asked them. Do you know where Ye Xiun went? I don't know. It seems I didn't come back yesterday. Mo Bai said directly. Yes, I left yesterday morning. When I left, I seemed to be pushing a big box out. Chu King Ai also said from the side. When Li Hao heard what Chu King Ai said, he couldn't help but feel a strange color in his heart. Didn't come back yesterday? And pushing a big box? Where else could Ye Xiun go? It won't be. Li Hao's heart froze. Could it be that Ye Xiun went back to the Demon City? Ye Xiun's family is in Magic City, and it is the Ye family in Magic City. Could it be that she has gone back? But if I go back, why do I even turn off my phone? And without saying a word, he just left without saying goodbye. Why is this? Li Hao was puzzled. He had not offended Ye Xiun. Could it be that Chu King Ai, Mo Bai and Ye Hongxiu were angry with him because Chu King Ai, Mo Bai and Ye Hongxiu moved in? He was not angry yet. The next moment, Li Hao found another number on his phone, and then made another call directly. Soon, a man's voice rang on the other side of the phone. Hey, master. Magic City, Ye family. Ye Tianhe was originally discussing Ye Xiun's matter with his family members. Dad, who is that Xiaorenja? Why do we have to agree to his proposal of marriage? Who is that Xia Kunlun? Next to Ye Tianhe, there was a middle-aged man who looked a bit like Ye Tianhe. He asked Ye Tianhe in a deep voice, and he was Ye Yongsheng and Ye Xiun's biological father. Just yesterday morning, a luxurious motorcade arrived at the door of Ye's house. Surrounded by a group of people, a proud young man came, and then directly presented 10 inner elixirs of the century-old Demon King and tens of billions of gifts. He opened his mouth to ask the Ye family to marry Ye Xiun to him. Such a big gesture shocked the entire Ye family. This is extremely generous. What is the origin of the young man in front of him? Just when Ye Tianhe and others were filled with shock and confusion, the young man had already announced his name. Xiaorenjia. No one has heard of this name, but that Xiaorenjia is extremely proud and powerful. As one of the top families in the Demon City, Ye Tianhe was a monk in the early stage of pill formation, but he hesitated in front of Xiaorenjia's grand gesture. Tens of billions of gifts, and 10 inner elixirs of the century-old Demon King, especially the inner elixir of the century-old Demon King, are so precious. You must know that the inner elixir of the Demon King is the essence of his body, and it contains incomparably pure spiritual power. If a monk can refine it, it will be of great benefit. With these 1,000-year-old Demon King's inner elixirs, Ye Tianhe can even break through from the early stage of elixir formation to elixir formation. In the middle stage, or even in the late stage of pill formation, there is no telling how many more monks will come out of the Ye family. And the most important thing is that the young man named Xiaorenjia in front of him said something that shocked Ye Tianhe again, and said a shocking name. My father is Xia Kunlun. When the name Xia Kunlun came out, Ye Changsheng and others were still unfamiliar with it, but Ye Changhe's expression suddenly changed, as if he had thought of something terrifying and was extremely horrified. I only give you one day. Tomorrow night, I want to see Miss Xiun at the Waldorf Astoria Hotel. See you there or not. Afterwards, Xiaorenjia spoke directly to Ye Changhe and others, and then left directly with these men. Until Xiaorenjia left, Ye Changhe immediately made a decision to call back Ye Xiun, who was far away in Jiangbei. So, there was the scene again. Ye Yongsheng asked Ye Changhe directly. As Ye Xiun's father, he naturally stood on the side of his daughter's happiness and was unwilling to push his daughter into the fire pit, but he was also shocked by the other party's generosity. He knew that the other party's identity must be very big. At this moment, he couldn't help but want to find out, and his father, Ye Changhe, who lived for more than 100 years, should know. Xia Kunlun. How could it be Xia Kunlun? Isn't he dead? Ye Changhe was still shocked in his heart, and murmured again. Dad, who is the Xia Kunlun? Hearing his father's words, Ye Yongsheng next to him was even more confused and asked again. You should have heard of the title of Kunlun, God of War. At this time, Ye Changhe said in a deep voice again. Kunlun, God of War? Dad, what are you talking about? Suddenly, Ye Yongsheng was shocked, and his eyes were filled with disbelief. He said in a lost voice that he had heard of this name, and he had heard of it when he was very young. He was a person who stood at the top at that time. That's right, this Xia Kunlun is the Kunlun, God of War. More than 30 years ago, he was already a master figure who stood at the top. God level tip, report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tian Tian Taido. Chapter 457. When Ye Changsheng heard Ye Changhe's words, his expression couldn't help but be shocked again, and a turmoil arose in his heart. Xia Kunlun is the Kunlun, God of War, and he was a grand master more than 30 years ago. And this Xiaorenjia claims to be Xia Kunlun's son, isn't he the son of the God of War? But it seems that there is no such Xia Kunlun among the current grandmasters. Ye Yongsheng said doubtfully again. That's right. More than 30 years ago, something happened that shocked the whole world. Xia Kunlun, the Kunlun, God of War, seemed to be performing some mission at that time. It was said that he died. After that, there was no more news about this Kunlun war god in the whole world. It's a legend. I didn't expect that the Kunlun, God of War, is still alive and well, and his son is so old. Ye Changhe immediately said slowly again. But Dad, this Xia Kunlun didn't show up, could it be a fake? Is it possible that this Siorenja is a fake? Ye Yongsheng continued. We can't rule out fake ones. However, we can't afford to offend those who can take out 10 billion in one breath and have these 100-year-old Demon King demon pills. Even these people just now can make us. My family has been destroyed countless times. Ye Chang, he said in a deep voice. Ah! How is that possible? Ye Yongsheng opened his mouth wide, shocked and couldn't believe it. Those people just now were all monks in the early stage of foundation building at least, and that Siorenja was also a monk in the early stage of pill formation. Although he restrained his aura. I only heard Ye Chang, he say in a deep voice again, with affirmation in his voice. As a pill-forming monk, his perception is so keen, and he suddenly sensed the powerful cultivation of Siorenja and his subordinates. Momentum. Then what should we do now? Do we really want Xiun to marry this guy? Ye Yongsheng said in a deep voice again. Let's ask Xiun for her own opinion first. I don't know how the two of them met. That guy has to ask Xiun. If Xiun agrees, that's the best. Marrying the son of the god of war is something that many people dream of but cannot do. Things. Calculate the time, Xiun should be back. Ye Chang, he said again immediately. Soon, the two of them arrived at the door of Ye's house and waited. Poetry. The two of them waited at the door for almost 10 minutes. A car appeared in front of Ye's house and stopped. Ye Xiun's figure got out of the car and appeared in front of the two of them. Dad, Grandpa. What happened? When Ye Xiun was in Jiangbei, she heard a call from her father, saying that something had happened at home and asking her to come back quickly. So Ye Xiun bought a plane ticket and flew back without stopping for a moment. She just thought it was, what happened to her relatives at home made her even more worried. When she saw her grandfather and father standing in front of her, Ye Xiun immediately asked them. Xiun, do you know a young man named Siorenja? At this time, Ye Yongsheng was the first to speak out and asked Ye Xiun directly. Siorenja? Ye Xiun frowned when she heard her father's words. The name seemed familiar. The next moment, Ye Xiun suddenly remembered that when she was out with her best friend last year, she met a guy who started chatting with her. At that time, she insisted on asking for her WeChat account, but she didn't give it to him at the time, and then the guy actually talked back. She made wild claims that she wanted to be his woman, and even said that she would come to his house to propose marriage to him. At that time, it seemed that his name was Siorenja. Ye Xiun was very disdainful of this at the time and just thought he was a fool and ignored him. Ye Xiun frowned, but still said directly. What's wrong? Dad? Why did you suddenly say this name? Just answer whether you know him or not. Ye Yongsheng said in a deep voice again. I met him once. When we went out last year, a guy asked me to use WeChat, but I refused. He seemed to be named Siorenja. Ye Xiun said slowly again. After hearing Ye Xiun's words, Ye Yongsheng and Ye Tian he couldn't help but look at each other. This guy is attracted to you. He's here to propose marriage. He wants you to marry him. At this time, Ye Yongsheng said in a deep voice again. What? Asking for a hand in marriage. Hearing Ye Yongsheng's words, Ye Xiun's expression suddenly changed and she said in shock. That's right, it's a marriage proposal. I gave you 10 billion, as well as 10 inner elixirs of the century-old Demon King. So, we want to ask your opinion. Do you have any interest in this guy? At this time, Ye Tian he next to him said again. When Ye Xiun heard her grandfather's words again, her entire expression was extremely horrified and even more unbelievable. She didn't expect that what the other party said at that time was actually true, and he actually came to ask for a hand in marriage, and the money was so generous, directly worth 10 billion. Although she didn't know what the inner elixir of the century-old Demon King was for, but it's certainly not ordinary. What is the origin of this guy? No. Ye Xiun said directly, with unusual certainty. I won't marry. No matter what. I won't marry him. Dad, Grandpa, I won't marry. You didn't accept these things, did you? Yeshun asked Ye Tianhe in shock. I heard Ye Changsheng say in a deep voice again, take it? Ah. Yeshun's face instantly turned a little pale, and she quickly said again. Dad, Grandpa, don't take that guy's stuff. Hurry up and return those things. I won't marry. Yeshun's voice was filled with incomparable determination. But, it's not easy to return. If we return, our Ye family will be finished. At this time, Ye Changhe's expression was condensed again, and he said slowly. When Ye Changhe said this, Yeshun's face became even paler, and her heart was like a huge shock, and her breathing was stagnant. How could it be? Yeshun lost her voice. Because, that guy named Xiaorenja. He is the son of Kunlun, god of war. The son of Xia Kunlun. Ye Changhe said in a deep voice, and his voice was also filled with a hint of powerlessness. When Yeshun heard Ye Changhe's words, her expression was shocked again, and she murmured again. The son of Kunlun, god of war? Who is Xia Kunlun? But she didn't know who Xia Kunlun was. Xia Kunlun, more than 30 years ago, was a master, and the #1 master in Ardawa. Now, I don't know how strong he is. Even Elder Zhao is probably not his opponent. Xiun, how about you think about it carefully? Marrying the son of the god of war is also a very good thing. As Ye Changhe spoke, Ye Xiun's face turned extremely pale, and her head was even more confused. God level tip, report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tian Tian Taido. Chapter 458. Ye Xiun's pretty face turned extremely pale when she heard what Ye Changhe and Ye Yongsheng said. Unexpectedly, even his father and grandfather wanted her to marry each other. What Ye Xiun didn't expect was that the other party had such a big background. Son of Ares. Although Ye Xiun was hearing about the Kunlun god of war for the first time, but hearing her grandfather say that he was a master more than 30 years ago, and now after so many years, there is only one stronger, Ye Xiun's heart was filled with emotion already hit rock bottom. Ye Xiun didn't want to marry that Xiaorenja. She had only met him once, and her impression was not good to begin with. But if she doesn't get married, the Ye family might really be doomed. At this moment, another figure appeared in Ye Xiun's mind. Li Hao. Li Hao is also a strong master, but Li Hao shouldn't be the opponent's opponent, right? Ye Xiun thought of asking for Li Hao's help. If Li Hao knew about this, he would definitely not ignore it. But let's not talk about whether Li Hao can beat him or not. Who is Li Hao's friend? Where are people? Why did Li Hao take action on his behalf? Li Hao has so many female friends, and each of them is so beautiful. Li Hao has never taken the initiative to express anything to himself, and even brought those female friends back to his place of residence. Thinking of this, Ye Xiun immediately gave up the idea of telling Li Hao about this matter and asking Li Hao to help. No. No matter what, I will not marry. Dad, Grandpa, if you want to marry, find someone else. I will never marry even if I die. Ye Xiun said to Ye Changhe and Ye Yongsheng again, with incomparable determination in her voice. After the words fell, Ye Xiun ignored the two of them and walked towards her room without looking back. Xiyun, think about it carefully. Tomorrow night, we will go to the Waldorf Astoria Hotel. That Xiaorenja has already booked a place. Ye Changhe looked at Ye Xiun's back and said directly. Bang. However, Ye Xiun did not respond, but walked directly into the room, and then closed the door of the room directly. Ye Xiun felt very low, depressed, and even more unhappy. Why? Why should she marry someone she doesn't like? If Ye Xiun had known that this was the case, she would never have come back. In short, she will not marry. Even if it means death. Ye Xiun's heart was filled with incomparable determination. She looked cold-tempered on the surface, but she was extremely strong in her heart. Outside, seeing Ye Xiun closing the door to the room, Ye Yongsheng and Ye Changhe, their expressions darkened again. "Dad, what should we do now?" Ye Yongsheng asked Ye Changhe, unable to make up his mind. One side was his family, the other side was his daughter. "What else can we do? If Xiun doesn't marry, that Xiaorenja won't let it go. And we can't afford to offend Kunlun, god of war. We can only..." Ye Changhe suddenly said in a deep voice, but at this moment, a figure appeared in Ye Changhe's mind. Such a big thing happened to the Ye family, should I tell him? Ye Changhe was hesitant for a moment. There was another master above him, and he had signed a contract with him, but the other party was only slightly stronger than him, so even telling him that he was afraid would be of no use. However, it was at this time. Ding 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 ding. Ye Changhe's cell phone suddenly rang. When Ye Changhe saw the name on the caller ID, he couldn't help but be shocked. It turned out to be Li Hao. Just when I thought of Li Hao, the other party called me. What a coincidence. Ye Changhe had another doubt in his heart. Ever since he signed a sole contract with the other party had never paid attention to him, as if he had forgotten him. Why did he suddenly call him at this moment? Why? The next moment, Ye Changhe directly answered the phone. "Hey, master." Ye Changhe said directly into the phone that he had signed a contract with the other party, and his life was in the other party's hands. Jiangbei No. 1 Courtyard. Li Hao heard Ye Changhe's voice on the phone and asked Ye Changhe directly. "Ye Changhe, do you know a girl named Ye Xiun? She is also from Magic City." Li Hao didn't know that Ye Xiun was Ye Changhe's granddaughter, but in Li Hao's opinion, Ye Changhe was also surnamed Ye, and Ye Xiun was also surnamed Ye. Maybe they knew each other. Even if they didn't, considering Ye Changhe's status in the Magic City, it should be a very simple matter for individuals with poor status. Ah! Ye Xiun. On the phone, Ye Changhe couldn't help but feel surprised when he heard Li Hao's words. He didn't expect that he would call Ye Xiun directly. "Master, to be honest, this Ye Xiun is my granddaughter. I dare you to ask Master what she is talking about. Has this girl offended you? I will teach her a lesson." Ye Changhe said directly to Li Hao, his heart also condensed. That girl must have provoked her master. "What? Your granddaughter?" When Li Hao heard what Ye Changhe said, he couldn't help but be shocked. A strange color appeared on his face and he said in shock. What a surprise! Ye Xiun turned out to be Ye Changhe's granddaughter. It was quite a coincidence. Yes, Ye Xiun is my granddaughter, my biological granddaughter. Ye Changhe said again. Well, that's a coincidence. Li Hao said slowly again. Master, the rhyme of the poem is. Ye Changhe asked tentatively again. No. That's it? She was the tenant of my villa for several years. She suddenly left yesterday and her phone was turned off. I just wanted to ask. Li Hao also said directly. As soon as Li Hao's words came out, Ye Changhe was shocked again. Tenant. Ye Xiun is actually Li Hao's tenant? It means that when the two of them were in Jiangbei, they lived in a villa? What a coincidence. Although Li Hao said it very simply, Ye Changhe could hear a hint of concern in Li Hao's voice. Obviously, the relationship between the two is unusual. They are at least good friends, and they may even be boyfriend and girlfriend. We are in the same villa and have lived together for such a long time. Maybe something happened? Thinking of this, Ye Changhe's heart moved. If this was really the case, there would be problems. Xiaorenja fell in love with Ye Xiun. Xiun has just come back. Master, do you want me to give her the phone? Ye Changhe immediately asked again. No need, She'll be fine as long as she's fine. Li Hao said calmly again, ready to hang up the phone. But at this time, owner Ye Chang, he stopped Li Hao on the phone again. Anything else? Li Hao suddenly asked again in a deep voice. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. God level tip, report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tian Tian Taido. Chapter 459. That's right, Master. In fact, we asked Ye Xiun to come back this time. Something happened here. Ye Chang, he said directly to Li Hao again. When Li Hao heard Ye Chang he's words, he suddenly felt strange and asked again. What happened? Actually, it's like this. Just yesterday, a young man named Xiaorenja came to propose marriage. He wanted Xiun to marry him. Then, he gave us 1 day to think about it. So, we asked Ye Xiun to come back. As a result, Ye Chang he spoke slowly again and described what happened to Li Hao very clearly. Li Hao listened to Ye Chang he's words quietly, but his heart suddenly condensed. Proposing at home? Want Ye Xiun to marry him? Isn't this looking for death? For some reason, Li Hao's body also felt a chill at this moment, and he felt even more awe-inspiring in his heart. Li Hao already regarded Ye Xiun as his own in his heart, but the other party tried to get involved. This was not seeking death. What's the idea of poetry? After Ye Chang he finished speaking, Li Hao asked directly again. When Ye Chang he heard Li Hao's words, he noticed that Li Hao called Xiun, and his heart moved again. It seemed that the relationship between the two was really unusual, so Ye Chang he said directly again. Xiun definitely doesn't want to marry that Xiaorenja, but there's nothing we can do. After hearing this, Li Hao couldn't help but frown, and asked again in a deep voice. No way. What is the other party's cultivation level? Is it very strong? Where does it come from? The early stage of pill formation. However, his identity is unusual. His father is Xia Kunlun. Ye Chang he said directly. Xia Kunlun? When Li Hao heard this name, he didn't know it at all. He had never heard of such a name. Who is Xia Kunlun? Li Hao immediately asked directly. Hearing Li Hao's words, Ye Chang he couldn't help but feel condensed in his heart. He didn't expect that Li Hao had never heard of Xia Kunlun, but then he thought about it. Li Hao seemed to be in his 20s, but Xia Kunlun was more than 30 years old. It is normal for Li Hao not to recognize the person in front of him. That's it, Master, this Xiaorenja is nothing to worry about, but his father Xia Kunlun is extraordinary. He was a powerful figure in the Grand Master realm more than 30 years ago, and he was even regarded as the Kunlun god of war. After disappearing for more than 30 years and then reappearing, I don't know how terrifying his cultivation level has been. Ye Chang he said directly again. When Li Hao heard Ye Chang he's words, he couldn't help but was shocked, and he finally remembered the name. Xia Kunlun. Taking the name of Kunlun is not an ordinary madness. A strong master from more than 30 years ago. Kunlun god of war. Li Hao murmured. However, Li Hao's heart was not too shocked, but only slightly aroused. The higher the level of cultivation, the slower the breakthrough, and now that spiritual power is thin, it is very difficult to break through. Even if more than 30 years have passed, no matter how powerful Xia Kunlun is, he may not be able to reach the level of Earth Immortal. Even if he has truly become an Earth Immortal, Li Hao is not without the ability to fight, and he is worried that there is no place to use so many methods. Today's Li Hao is no longer what he used to be. His cultivation has reached the late stage of becoming a god. Li Hao also has absolute confidence in his own cultivation strength. Whether it's a spiritual weapon or a Taoist technique, the system rewards the best, and now he's not afraid even against the real Earth immortal Li Hao. What's more, the opponent's strength is still uncertain, and there is still a question mark whether it is the Earth immortal city. As long as Xiun doesn't want to marry, no one can force her. No matter who it is, ask me first. What about the Grand Master who was more than 30 years ago? What about the Kunlun god of war? Li Hao said directly and proudly, his voice filled with incomparable arrogance, not taking Xia Kunlun seriously at all. When Ye Changhe heard Li Hao's words on the phone, he was shocked again. He didn't expect that Li Hao wouldn't even pay attention to the powerful master. Ye Changhe's expression condensed, but he didn't know what to say. Li Hao was his master, he did not dare to refute. I heard Li Hao's voice coming again. Don't worry, I'm here. Ye Xiun can't get married, and nothing will happen to your Ye family. It's not a big problem. It's tonight, right? Where is the address? Hearing Li Hao's words, Ye Changhe's mouth twitched slightly, but he still replied directly. That's right, tonight. The Waldorf Astoria Hotel. I'll come. Li Hao just said 3 words lightly, and then hung up the phone directly. The Ye family in the Magic City. Ye Changhe also hung up the phone. Dad, is he coming? Ye Yongsheng had been by Ye Changhe's side, so he naturally heard the voice on the phone and immediately asked Ye Changhe. Ye Changhe nodded lightly. But the place is the son of the god of war. Ye Yongsheng said with some worry. Oh, just wait and see. Ye Changhe sighed again. He didn't know what Li Hao was thinking or where he got the confidence. However, for Li Hao, Ye Changhe had an inexplicable confidence in his heart. However, Ye Changhe's understanding of Li Hao was still at the time when Li Hao crushed him and forcefully signed the soul contract. Li Hao hung up the phone and then made another call. Boss. The captain of Li Hao's private plane was on the other end of the phone. Prepare to fly to the Magic City. I'll be at the airport in 20 minutes. Li Hao ordered directly. Okay. The next moment, Li Hao said something to Linda and others, and drove his Lamborghini to Jiangbei Airport. Originally, Linda wanted to go with him, but Li Hao didn't let her. The Lamborghini sped all the way and soon arrived at Jiangbei Airport. Li Hao entered the airport and quickly came to the boarding gate of his private plane through the VIP channel. The captain and the beautiful crew members were already on standby. When they saw Li Hao appear, they excitedly greeted him. More than 10 minutes later, the plane took off directly and headed for the Magic City. Jiangbei is quite a distance away from the Magic City. When Li Hao's private plane landed at the Magic City airport, it was almost time for lunch in the afternoon. Magic City, Waldorf Astoria Hotel. As one of the most luxurious 5-star hotels in Shanghai, the Waldorf Astoria Hotel ranks among the top 10 in Shanghai. At this moment, the huge parking lot is already full of various luxury cars. Mercedes-Benz, BMW, Audi, etc. are considered relatively inferior, while Maybach, Bentley, Rolls-Royce, etc. are more common. Those who can appear here are either rich or noble. God-level tip, report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tian Taido. Chapter 460. At this moment, there were many figures standing at the entrance of the Waldorf Astoria Hotel. These people are all wearing suits and uniforms, and they are all employees of the Waldorf Astoria Hotel. The leader was a middle-aged man who looked to be in his 30s or 40s. He had a big belly and looked like a big boss. This middle-aged man was obviously from the Waldorf Astoria Hotel. CEO Zhou Qiqiang. As the boss of Waldo Hotel, Zhou Qiqiang would not come out on weekdays, but today he had to come out and stand at the gate, playing the role of welcoming guests. Because a big shot has ordered a meal at his hotel tonight and will arrive here soon. So at this moment, Zhou Qiqiang and a group of hotel service staff and subordinates are standing here, dressed in suits and men's and women's, very formal, standing in 2 rows, waiting here for the arrival of the other party. Oh my god, that's Joe Kikiang, the boss of the Waldorf Astoria Hotel. What day is it today? Even their boss is here. What kind of big shot is coming? What a huge battle. Who do Joe Kikiang and the others expect this week? At this moment, the residents who were coming in and out of the hotel saw this shocking scene, and a strange color arose in their hearts. Uproar came from their mouths. Everyone was wondering, what exactly was going on? Whoever wanted to come here was actually greeted by Joe Kikiang personally at the door. Just when everyone is confused, a motorcade appeared directly at the door of the Waldorf Astoria Hotel. There were 7 or 8 all-black Mercedes-Benz SS. Then, from these cars, a series of strong men in suits and uniforms came down. They were full of aura and fierce eyes. They looked like they had been on the battlefield, but at this moment they were acting as guards or bodyguards. Roll. Surrounded by these people, a proud young man stepped out of one of the cars. He was wearing a small red suit, which looked very festive. With his good appearance and the suit, he looked very happy. He looked very handsome, and his body was filled with a proud temperament. As soon as he appeared, he attracted the attention of many people. Who is this guy? What a huge battle! Hey, whose young master is this? These bodyguards are not ordinary people. I'm afraid they are all monks, right? Oh my god, the 4 young masters of the demon city, I'm afraid this won't be like this, right? The person Joe Kikiang is greeting could be him, right? When the people at the door of the hotel saw this scene, their eyes fell on Siorenja, and they were shocked again, and they suddenly made uproar again. The next moment, everyone saw that Joe Kikiang, the boss of the Waldorf Astoria Hotel, walked directly towards the young man and soon arrived in front of the young man. Young Master Xia. Joe Kikiang shouted to Siorenja with a respectful expression. He knew the identity of the young man in front of him. When he learned that the young man was the son of the god of war, Joe Kikiang had to take it seriously. Well, are you all ready? Siorenja looked at Joe Kikiang, nodded, and asked in a deep voice without changing his expression. Everything is ready? Don't worry, Mr. Xia. Joe Kikiang said repeatedly, naturally knowing what Siorenja was talking about. Siorenja has booked a dinner party at his hotel tonight. Siorenja is going to propose to Yeshiun, the eldest daughter of the Ye family in the Magic City, at this dinner party. The standard of the dinner party is based on the highest standards. There are all kinds of delicacies from the mountains and seas, and the banquet hall is also the most luxurious one in the hotel. A professional team was called to decorate the banquet hall carefully, filling it with an extremely romantic atmosphere. Young Master Xia, do you want to go in first? Joe Kikiang asked Siorenja. No, just wait, my father-in-law and the others are coming. Siorenja said with a smile on his face. In his words, he already regarded Yeshiun as his woman and Yeshiun's father Ye Yongsheng as his father-in-law. After Siorenja finished speaking, he stood directly at the door, and the guards stood neatly behind Siorenja on both sides of the hotel. For a time, including Joe Kikiang and other people from the hotel, dozens of people had gathered at the entrance of the Waldorf Astoria Hotel. The lineup was not ordinary. Master Xia. Oh my god, Mr. Joe actually called that guy Mr. Xia. Surnamed Xia. Does Ardawa have a big family named Xia? I don't think there is one. Who are they waiting for? This scene fell into the eyes of the surrounding people and aroused their curiosity. Some people even heard Joe Kikiang calling Siorenja and immediately made a sound of surprise. For a time, many people stopped and waited curiously. At this moment, a Lexus commercial vehicle was on its way to the Waldorf Astoria Hotel, followed by 2 or 3 black autos. In the car, in addition to the driver, there were 4 figures sitting. These four figures were clearly Ye Changhe and others who came from the Ye family's residence. In addition to Ye Changhe, Ye Yongsheng, and Ye Xiun, there is also a beautiful middle-aged woman who looks to be in her 30s, with an exquisite face, wearing brand clothes, and even wearing luxurious necklaces and jewelry. Time has not left many traces on her body, and she and Ye Xiun next to her look like two sisters. And this beautiful woman is Ye Xiun's mother. Her name is Jing Jing. Ye Xiun originally didn't want to come out, but she couldn't bear her parents' earnest words and had to come. At this moment, Ye Xiun's face was expressionless, her expression was deserted, and she was looking out of the window quietly, not knowing what she was thinking. Watching this scene, and Jing beside him couldn't help but sigh in his heart, and asked Ye Xiun softly. "Xiun, do you really not want to marry that Xiaorenja?" Looking at her daughter like this, and Jing still couldn't stand it. When Ye Xiun heard her mother's words, she still looked out the window and said nothing, as if she was sulking. "I heard from your grandpa that Xiaorenja is the son of the god of war. He seems to be a monk in the Dan formation realm. Although I haven't seen his appearance, he should be the same. Xiun, why don't you try it? How will you know if you don't try it? Isn't it appropriate?" Jing Jing said beside Ye Xiun, minding her own business, "Mom has been here for a long time. There is nothing wrong with listening to her." Ye Xiun was at the side, not even looking at her. Poetic rhythm. When Jing Jing saw Ye Xiun like this, she suddenly became furious. "What am I? I've said it many times. I won't marry. I won't marry, I won't marry, I won't marry. Mom, why do you have to force me?" God level tip, report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tian Tian Taido. Chapter 461. Why do you have to force me? Force me to marry someone I don't like. At this moment, Ye Xiun really broke out and said with emotion. Hearing Ye Xiun's words and seeing Ye Xiun's appearance, Jing Jing was stunned. He didn't expect Ye Xiun to be so excited. The expressions of Ye Changhe and Ye Yongsheng next to them also suddenly became condensed. "Xiun, do you have someone you like?" Ye Changhe suddenly asked Ye Xiun again at this moment. He thought of Li Hao's tone on the phone before. Ah! Ye Xiun was stunned for a moment when she heard Ye Changhe's question. She didn't know why her grandfather suddenly asked her that. At this moment, a figure appeared in Ye Xiun's mind involuntarily. "Is there anyone you like? There should be some who should like it." She really regretted going back to Magic City. "I regret even more that I didn't take the initiative to have something with the person I like in Jiangbei." Ye Changhe saw Ye Xiun fall into silence for a moment, and he had a clear understanding in his heart. "Xiun, if you really have someone you like, you might as well talk to us. This matter may not be non-negotiable." Ye Changhe immediately said to Ye Xiun again. Ah! Hearing Ye Changhe's words, a bright light suddenly appeared in Ye Xiun's beautiful eyes. "Real?" Ye Xiun said in surprise. "Of course it's true." Ye Changhe said in a deep voice again. "Now, let's talk about it. Xiun, do you have someone you like?" Ye Changhe asked next. At this moment, Ye Xiun no longer hesitated, nodded, and said. Seeing this scene, Ye Changhe, Ye Yongsheng and others' hearts froze, and they secretly said that it was true. "Grandpa, I already have someone I like. I will not marry Xiaorenja." Ye Xiun said to Ye Changhe again, her voice still full of determination. "Your name is Li Hao, right?" Ye Changhe said slowly again. "Ah! Grandpa, you." Hearing Ye Changhe's words, Ye Xiun's eyes suddenly widened and her mouth opened wide, showing a look of disbelief. "What am I? How do I know?" Seeing Ye Xiun's appearance, Ye Changhe was even more certain that the relationship between Li Hao and his granddaughter must be unusual, and something might have happened. "Well, if you don't want to get married, don't get married." Ye Changhe sighed again, and then said again. As soon as Ye Changhe's voice came out, Ye Yongsheng and Jing Jing next to them looked shocked again. Ah! How wonderful! When Ye Xiun heard Ye Changhe's words, she suddenly felt happy and said excitedly. Then let's go back now? It's okay if you don't want to eat this dinner. You have to go, Xiun. If you really don't want to marry that Xiaorenja, just refuse him. Ye Changhe said directly again. But that Xiaorenja is the son of the god of war. If he refuses, will he? Ye Xiun asked tentatively again. It's okay, my Ye family is not a vegetarian. If it really comes to that point, your boyfriend won't just ignore it? Ye Changhe said in a deep voice again. When Ye Xiun heard Ye Changhe's words, she couldn't help but feel a little confused. Boyfriend? Grandpa is talking about Li Hao? Li Hao won't just ignore it? Li Hao didn't even know what was going on here. Her cell phone was turned off. However, Ye Changhe said nothing more. Soon, the Lexus commercial vehicle arrived at the entrance of the Waldorf Astoria Hotel, and Ye Xiun and others stepped out of the car. The next moment, a figure in a red suit came directly to greet him, followed by a series of strong figures. It's the heads of the Ye family and the others. And Miss Ye Xiun. Unexpectedly, the person they are waiting for is actually a member of the Ye family. Is this guy here for Miss Ye Xiun? Miss Ye Xiun is one of the 4 goddesses recognized by our magic city. The people around them immediately turned their attention to Ye Changhe and others who got off the car. Some people directly recognized Ye Changhe and others and made an uproar. Miss Ye. It's been so long. You're even more beautiful. When Xiaorenja saw Ye Xiun, a look of excitement suddenly appeared on his face, and he shouted to Ye Xiun happily, with only Ye Xiun in his eyes. Seeing this Xiaorenja, Ye Xiun's eyebrows frowned deeply, but she said coldly. Who are you? Do we know each other? Ye Xiun acted as if she didn't recognize him at all, with a cold expression. After hearing Ye Xiun's words, Xiaorenja's complexion suddenly darkened, the corners of his mouth twitched, he looked embarrassed, and said angrily. I'm Xiaorenja. Last year at Nahang Lake, I wanted to send you a message on WeChat. Xiaorenja said with a smile on his face again. At this moment, a subordinate next to him brought up a box, and then opened the box directly in the direction of Ye Xiun. Suddenly, a necklace inside the box appeared in front of everyone's eyes. At this time, a diamond necklace, with blue diamonds shining with a dazzling aura. Yeah, this necklace is called Heart of the Ocean and is worth 130 million. It is a gift I specially prepared for you. Xiaorenja said directly and proudly. When Xiaorenja's voice came out, the people around him immediately showed an extremely shocked look. What? This necklace is the Heart of the Ocean? The Heart of the Ocean, one of the most expensive necklaces in the world. Oh my god, 130 million. This is so luxurious. It's a necklace worth 130 million. It's really luxurious. I'm so envious. Why doesn't anyone give me this necklace? Xiaorenja's gift was a necklace worth 130 million, which directly caused a lot of shock. Ye Xiun didn't expect that Xiaorenja would actually give her a necklace. Looking at this necklace, the beautiful blue diamond is very beautiful. However, Ye Xiun did not hesitate at all and said directly. Take it back. I don't like the things you gave me. I don't want it. Reject. And it was in front of so many people. Hearing Ye Xiun's words, Xiaorenja's face suddenly became a little ugly. He really didn't give her any face. How ridiculous. How dare you take our young master's things? Our young master gave you things because he thinks highly of you. At this time, before Xiaorenja could speak, the 2 guards behind him could no longer hold back and spoke in a stern voice. Shut up. But just as the 2 were about to finish their words, they were stopped by Siorenja. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. God level tip, report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tien Tien Taido. Chapter 462. Siorenja drank the two guards directly. Although his expression was a little unnatural, he still tried his best to smile. Personal. I like it. Siorenja said in a deep voice again, the more the other person is like this, the more he likes him. The less he can get something, he will feel conquered only after he gets it. Ms. Yeah, uncle, aunt, and grandpa, please come in. Siorenja put away the necklace next to him and said to Yeshiun and others. Yes, Master Ye, please come in quickly. Zhou Qiqiang, who was next to him, also said aloud. There's no need to eat, we're not familiar with each other. It's not like we can't afford to eat, and we won't eat with you. Yeshiun said in a deep voice again, looking like a giant thousands of miles away, not giving Siorenja any face. When this Siorenja heard Yeshiun's words, his face suddenly darkened, and a chill grew in his heart. He had already restrained his emotions very much. No one dared to speak to him like this before. If it weren't for the fact that the other party was the woman he liked, he would have already taken action. He. Siorenja felt angry in his heart, sneered, and then said lightly. I've given you 1 day. If that's the case, I'll explain it directly. The next moment, Siorenja looked straight at Yeshiun and said seriously. Miss Ye, I like you, be my woman. Siorenja's voice was unabashed, and in front of everyone, he regarded Yeshiun as his woman. As soon as Siorenja said these words, everyone around him was shocked. Yeshiun's eyes narrowed when she heard Siorenja's words, but she said firmly. Impossible. I won't be a stupid woman. Find someone else. After hearing Yeshiun's words, the smile on Siorenja's face solidified. I gave you a gift of 10 billion, and there are also 10 inner elixirs of the Demon King. You think it's impossible? How can it be such a good thing? Siorenja said in a deep voice again, with a hint of coldness in his eyes, and then looked at Ye Changhe again. Master Ye, do you also mean this? I'm sorry, Mr. Xia, I was about to return those 10 billion and 10 Demon King inner elixirs to you. Ye Changhe's expression suddenly hardened again. At this moment, another member of the Ye family came up carrying a special box, and the box contained the 10 Demon King inner elixirs. At this moment, when those people around heard the conversation between the two, their hearts suddenly felt turbulent. His 10 billion betrothal gifts? 10 Demon King inner elixirs. Oh my God, this is so grand. This gift is too outrageous. A total of 10 billion. Don't you want to get married? There were gasps of cold air coming from the mouths of those around them, which was extremely shocking. Some women even looked envious and jealous. 10 billions of betrothal gifts. Oh my God, why didn't it fall on my head? Oh, I don't want 10 billion, give me 1 billion. No, I will marry even 100 million. He. When Siorenja heard Ye Changhe's words, his eyes flashed with fierceness, and then he sneered again. Are you going to give up this gift? Who do you think I, Siorenja, am? Who do you think my father is? Do you take my Xia family seriously? Siorenja suddenly said sternly, the smile on his face disappeared, and he looked at Ye Changhe coldly. Boom. At the same time, a powerful force of cultivation was involuntarily released from Siorenja's body. A powerful wave of energy swept across, making everyone around him feel a strong sense of oppression. Everyone's expressions changed. Show your cards, stop pretending. At this moment, the guards standing behind Siorenja also released shocking auras. These people were all monks. Everyone's momentum was concentrated in one place, which directly made the entire space extremely depressed. They looked at Ye Changhe and the others in front of them fiercely. Oh my God, what's going on? It feels so depressing. Monk. They are all monks. So many monks. Who is that person? There are so many monks guarding him. Isn't this too scary? The Xia family? No one in Jinghua is called the Xia family, right? At this moment, the people around looked at the scene in front of them with horrified expressions, and made extremely shocking sounds. Young Master Xia. Okay, don't stay here, okay. Next to him, Zhou Qiqiang was also startled. He was so shocked by the scene in front of him that he weakly begged Xiaorenja, these are all monks. This is at the entrance of his Waldorf Astoria hotel. If a fight really breaks out, it can't be contained. An accidental injury would be bad, and it might even cause damage. When Xiaorenja heard Zhou Qiqiang's words, he frowned for a moment and gave Zhou Qiqiang another cold look. The look made Zhou Qiqiang feel as if he had fallen into an ice cellar, and a sudden chill came into his heart. Roll! Xiaorenja shouted angrily. Bang! Then everyone saw that Shen Ting, the boss of the Waldorf Astoria Hotel, Zhou Qiqiang, was directly blasted out, making a dull sound, and then hit the wall of the hotel lobby heavily, vomiting blood, and immediately even if he passed out. Many people haven't even reacted yet. Hiss. This scene also frightened the people around, and they gasped immediately. This is really domineering. Just because Zhou Qiqiang said something, the other party didn't say anything and directly injured Zhou Qiqiang. Xia Xiao, I don't mean to ignore the Xia family. I also respect you as the son of Kunlun god of war. But you can't force it like this. This is a marriage. When Ye Changhe, Ye Yongsheng and others saw this scene, their faces suddenly changed, but Ye Changhe said to Xiaorenja calmly. As Ye Changhe's voice fell, the people around him exclaimed again. What? Who is the god of war Kunlun? Son of the god of war Kunlun? He is the son of the god of war Kunlun. Kunlun god of war Xia Kunlun. Is he still alive? He is the son of the god of war Kunlun. Is this true or false? Didn't the god of war Kunlun die a long time ago? How could he have a son? Everyone looked at Xiaorenja, their eyes filled with incredible shock, especially those who were over a certain age, who had heard of the name of the god of war Kunlun. He. Xiaorenja heard the voices of the people around him, and a dim arc appeared at the corner of his mouth again. That's right, I, Xiaorenja, am the son of the god of war Kunlun. My father, Xia Kunlun, is still alive and well. God level tip, report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tian Tian Taido. Chapter 463. As Xiaorenja's voice fell, the faces of those around him were immediately shocked, and there was a constant uproar. Kunlun god of war is really not dead. This is earth-shattering news. I didn't expect that the Kunlun god of war disappeared for more than 30 years and actually appeared again. I remember that the Kunlun god of war was a master more than 30 years ago. If he returns, how powerful will he be? Soon, the news that the Kunlun god of war was still alive spread directly, and the son of the god of war appeared, and he said it in person, which made people have to believe it. Everyone looked at Xiaorenja with a different look. This is the son of the god of war. What a powerful identity. What a powerful background. No wonder he is so overbearing, no wonder so many guards are actually monks. Forced buying and selling? Haha, I really forced buying and selling today, so what? At this time, Xiaorenja said in a cold voice, and then looked straight at Ye Xiun. Miss Ye, you still have one last chance. I ask you again, if you become my woman, I will never treat you unfairly. In the whole Dawa, you can walk sideways without any problem. No one will dare to offend your Ye family. How about it? Siorenja said to Yeshiun again, with a sharp look in his eyes. His patience is limited and has been worn out. Hurry up and agree. Such a good thing, why are you still hesitating? He is the son of the god of war. How come such a good thing doesn't come to me? Are you good looking? Without waiting for Yeshiun to answer, the people around her were already not calm, and couldn't help but whispered, especially some women, looking at Yeshiun with envy and jealousy. However, in the eyes of everyone, Yeshiun shook her head and said firmly, no need to say more. No matter what, I will not marry you. I don't like you at all, and I already have someone I like. As Yeshiun's voice fell, Siorenja's eyes suddenly burst out with a sharp light, and a chill was released from his body. Very good. Really good. Siorenja said coldly again, but everyone felt a sense of anger from Siorenja's voice. There is someone you like. I will kill him. Siorenja said in a deep voice. In that case, I won't be polite. Siorenja's eyes flashed with a fierceness, and he shouted coldly again. Come here. As Siorenja shouted, one figure after another stood up and bowed to Siorenja. I'm here. I'm here. I'm here. The voice shook the sky and the scene was grand. Catch them for me, Siorenja ordered again. Yes, yes. In an instant, a group of figures turned around and looked at Ye Changhe and his companions. They had a violent aura on their bodies, and spiritual light was flowing and rising on their bodies. They were so powerful that they surrounded Ye Changhe and his companions in the center. They were ready to take action without saying anything. At this moment, the faces of Ye Changhe and his companions changed drastically. Boom! At this moment, Ye Changhe and Ye Yongsheng also released a powerful aura, and the spiritual power flowed out. The two of them also released their cultivation aura without reservation. One was building a foundation, and the other was forming a pill. Their aura was also shocking. Siorenja, you are going to attack my Ye family just because you are the son of the god of war? I, Ye Changhe, am not a pushover. Come on, let's fight. Ye Changhe also showed the spirit of the head of the Ye family at this moment. He looked at Siorenja coldly without any fear and shouted. His body burst out with pure power, and he was also going to fight. Although the other side had a large number of people, these guards were all foundation building cultivators, and only Siorenja had reached the Jindan stage. It would take some effort to take them down. The scene became out of control. The battle was about to break out. However, at this moment, a white rainbow descended from the sky with a sound of breaking through the air. Bang! The next moment, everyone heard a crisp sound. In the middle of Siorenja's group and Ye Changhe and others, a whisk was inserted straight into the ground at the entrance of the hotel, creating cracks. This sudden scene shocked everyone. Then, everyone saw that another Taoist in a golden robe floated down from the sky and stood on the whisk. Wulian Tianzun. I am honored. The Taoist said lightly, with an immortal look. When Siorenja, Ye Changhe and others saw this scene, their eyes suddenly condensed. The Taoist in front of them had an extraordinary aura and was very unusual. He came with bad intentions. Only one person, Yeshiun, saw this Taoist, and a touch of joy appeared in her beautiful eyes. She had seen this Taoist before, and she knew him. His name was Sanyang Genren, and he seemed to be Li Hao's subordinate. Did Li Hao ask him to come? Yeshiun was also excited. Where did the Taoist come from? Get out of the way. My father is the god of war of Kunlun, don't interfere with my Xia family's work. In front, Siorenja saw this Taoist priest, his brows sank, and he said directly in a harsh voice without being polite. He. However, when he heard what Siorenja said, a smile appeared on Sanyang Jinren's face. What is the god of war of Kunlun? If you want to move the family, ask this poor Taoist priest first. Sanyang Jinren said proudly. Boom. As the voice of Sanyang Jinren fell, a majestic aura instantly swept out from his body, causing the wind and clouds to shake. He actually said that the god of war of Kunlun is nothing. This is not taking the god of war of Kunlun seriously at all. Oh my god, who is this Taoist priest? He feels so powerful. Why do I feel that he seems to be more powerful than Ye Changhe? Is he here to help the Ye family? I didn't expect that the Ye family actually has helpers. Squeak squeak squeak. Dot. The people around were shocked by the scene in front of them again, and they all made surprised and suspicious sounds. Jidan. Middle stage. At this moment, as the aura of Sanyang Jinren's cultivation was released, Xiaorenge's face became a little ugly again. The other party actually didn't even take his father seriously. Because, the Taoist in front of him was also a cultivator in the Jindan realm, and he was in the middle stage of the Jindan realm, which seemed to be hundreds of millions stronger than him. This was beyond Xiaorenge's expectation. He didn't expect that the Ye family would have helpers.